can't clap if I'm holding the drink.
Can you snap?
Not well. Hey guys, it's Jen. I have a little matcha with me today. I don't know about you guys, but lately I've been really into like going through my closet and just wanting to clear out some of my old things, especially every time when the weather sort of heats up. I'm like, I just can't wait to sort of refresh my closet, do a little KonMariing, and I kind of find it's always really helpful if you're trying to declutter to be refreshed on some things that you should keep in mind before going into the process. I thought I would just put it in a video so it would be a nice reminder for you guys if you plan on decluttering and organizing your spaces soon. In case you guys haven't read Marie Kondo's book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, which I am a huge evangelist of, I read it years ago. I still find that for myself, it's like the best method of going through my things because I am such a sentimental person. The basic idea is to keep what sparks joy and to thank what you're ready to let go. So you have an object, you hold it in your hand. If it sparks joy, then you keep it. If you hold it in your hand and it does not spark joy, you can thank it for its role it's played in your life, whether that's like the joy you got from receiving it, if it was from a family member or a friend, or the joy you felt the times you wore it, but now you've moved on from that stage in your life. You can experience that closure, I guess, and then let it go. And for me, I think that really was like a life-changing way of looking at the things in my life. And it's also helped me keep things around me that I really care about. Remember those rules. Keep what sparks joy. Be thankful for what you're letting go. My second tip is don't get rid of something before you find a replacement. I know sometimes when you're like in decluttering mode, you're like, oh, I just don't love it anymore, getting rid of it. But I found that sometimes when I venture down that path and there's something like a basic that I actually wear all the time, even if I feel like it's not quite what I want anymore, once I got rid of it because I was in a decluttering frenzy, I found myself feeling like I had a hole that needed to be filled because I always need a white tank top and now I don't have a white tank top. And I don't want to just go searching for a white tank top out of desperation and then have it again be something that's not quite right. Sometimes I wait until I actually find the replacement to let it go if it's something that I wear or use on a really regular basis, where if that was missing, I would need to fill it. My third tip is to ask yourself, how are you? Are you in a good mental state where you're prepared to declutter, where you're feeling good about yourself and your life and your state of mind? Sometimes I turn toward decluttering because I want to fix something in my life, but I actually find that if I'm not in a healthy mental state of mind before I go into the process, it becomes very, very overwhelming to like go through your stuff and be faced with all of these things that are, imperfect in your life that you want to change. And if I'm already like in a good state of mind where my mental health is good, where I feel good about myself, I can actually make a lot wiser decisions, especially these sort of long-term impacting decisions with my material things. So that brings me to a nice segue to our sponsor, BetterHelp. If you guys follow me on like Instagram or even here on YouTube, then you maybe already know that I have been seeing a therapist since last year, and it's just been such a night and day difference because I feel like we spend so much time and attention focusing on making sure our bodies are really healthy or that we're looking nice and put together and happy on the outside, but for some reason I feel like sometimes we forget how important our mental health is in our regular human maintenance to be like a healthy, good functioning person. So I just found that when I started going to therapy myself, it really changed my outlook on life on really an everyday basis and how I interact with my friends and my family, and most of all, how I interact with myself. I just feel like it's such an important part in sort of like decluttering. You know, we're talking about decluttering your things. This is like decluttering your heart and your mind and being able to just process the things that stack up, which I will say, after having children, I just sometimes don't have the time and capacity to like take that time for myself to process my feelings like I did before I had children. So I absolutely recommend it if you have ever been on the fence about going to therapy or not. The way I like to think about therapy isn't trying to fix something that's wrong with you. It's really putting that investment in your own well-being and your own happiness. So if you guys are interested in finding a therapist, BetterHelp is a really great option because they have customized sessions where you can either talk to them through a video system, or you can just do like phone conversations or even live chat, whatever you're most comfortable with. You can just also do it from the safety and comfort of your own home. All you need to do is just take an online questionnaire on the BetterHelp website, and they'll find the right therapist that matches with what you need, and they'll get back to you within 48 hours. I know it's kind of scary getting a therapist, and then what if they don't work out for you? They actually will let you switch out your therapist at any time without like any extra charges. So I find that to be like kind of a relief. There's like not too much risk involved. Being scared that you won't be matched with the right person shouldn't be the thing that deters you from getting help. To get 10% off of your first month, go to betterhelp.com/head-to-toe. I will leave the link here and in the info box down below. My next tip, don't get rid of something just because it's from a store you don't love anymore. Because the best, most environmentally conscious thing you can do is to keep using and holding on to what you already own. I have to admit, I'm definitely guilty of doing this in the past where I'm like, oh, I've grown out of that store. It just doesn't reflect who I am anymore. I'm just gonna get rid of it. It's also a little bit, admittedly, like a little bit shallow to be like, oh, I loved it, but the only thing I don't love is the tag inside of it. You know, that's a little bit silly. So I'm trying to be better about just deciding that I like what I like, no matter what the brand is, no matter what it sort of like represents. If I like it, that's all that matters, and I should keep loving it and holding on to it. My next tip is to make a list of items that you think are missing before going through the actual decluttering process. I find that there are certain things in my clothing wardrobe, but also just in life, I guess, where I'm always searching for it. Like somehow when I'm shopping, I always gravitate toward cardigans and jeans. Like I have so many pairs of jeans, but for some reason I feel like I'm always hunting for the perfect pair of like light wash jeans. But if I think about what I really love and what I always look for and I write it down, sometimes as I'm going through my things, I rediscover pieces I already own and I fall in love with them again. It's almost as if I am just shopping from my own closet because I already kept in mind like this is what I'm looking for. So even when I see it in my own closet, I still have that feeling of like, wow, like this is new again, you know, oh, I really love this. I forgot how much I loved this thing that I'm looking for that I already own. And so that helps curb my desire to like find again what I already have. The next tip is to ask yourself, what is your personal style? What makes you feel the most you? What makes you feel like really yourself? Whether that's like things that you're wearing, or maybe it's like certain makeup items or skincare, clothing, whatever it is. What makes you feel the most you? I like more neutral colors. I want to look elevated. I want to look put together. Then as I'm going through my wardrobe and I'm finding something that's like sequin and polka dots and I'm like, oh, you know, like that's not the vibe I want to move forward in. It helps me to separate who I am and who I want to be, and does my wardrobe serve me in that process? Or if it's something where maybe it used to be me, but it's not quite who I am now. I think in those instances, unless it's something that you really are honest about seeing yourself in and being like, this makes me feel the most me, it's okay to think those items and let them go. Okay, 7 might be one of my favorite tips that I think people like straight up do not talk about. Good lighting. I mean, like, I know for myself, I absolutely appreciate good light, whether it's like taking pictures or doing video or whatever it is, but it actually has such a huge impact on how you visually see yourself. And that's especially true if you're going through your closet trying to decide if something like looks good on you. You will have such a different perspective if it's like a dark, gloomy day where everything you're looking at in the mirror like looks unattractive, versus if it's a nice, bright, sunny, warm day, the colors are looking flattering on your skin, and you get kind of more of a better idea of realistically what other people will see when they're looking at you as well. My next tip is to just prepare yourself for it to potentially be a multi-day experience. I know that, again, like when I declutter my things, sometimes I get very overwhelmed when I see a large mass of clutter. It just seems like, oh, I don't know if I can get through all of this. But if I go into it with the idea of knowing and understanding and accepting that it might take longer than a single day to do, I can either just go by category and break it into smaller chunks that I know I can sort of emotionally deal with all of that decision making, or I can just expect ahead of time in my head, knowing that it's going to be a multi-day process, and just having that expectation from the get-go, which helps me to sort of like temper my expectations and just have a more pleasant experience the whole time. I kind of just already mentioned this tip, but I'll say it once again. Sometimes it's easier to attack one category at a time versus looking at everything you need to declutter from your whole house and trying to do it all at once. It's okay to go category by category, or even if it's like your closet-y things, you can say, okay, well, tonight I just have a little bit of time. I'm just going to go through like my socks and underwear and declutter there. And then the next day I'm going to work on my pants. You know, it's okay to take it in segments that make sense for you. And just because somebody else is decluttering a certain way, it doesn't mean that that has to be the exact same way you do it. I think people just have tips so that they can try to help each other go through something that's honestly like a very difficult process. But it's okay to recognize what works the best for you when you're decluttering. The final tip I wanted to talk about is to let go of the idea of buying and holding on to things for the person you idealize yourself to be, instead of the person that you really are. What things do you actually wear a lot day to day, and what things do you buy because you hope to be that person? Like for me, I have way more workout clothes than I actually use. Okay, these are the leggings that I wear all the time, so it's okay for me to have it in several colors, but these other ones are not as comfortable. Do I really need to have that many sets? Being really realistic about if that needs to take up space in my drawers when it's for that like hyper workout person that I am not necessarily living day to day in my real true life. I feel like I also do that a lot with skincare. There's a lot of things where I'm like, ooh, I like exfoliating sometimes, so like maybe I could have like 10 different kinds of exfoliators and just try them all. But realistically, at the end of the night, I have a limited amount of time because I am a mom, and even when I want to do all of this skincare and spend a lot of time on it, realistically, I'm just gonna grab my favorite one over and over. So it doesn't really make sense for me to hold on to all of these things that are for the me I wish I was and not who I really am. So that is it for all of my tips. I hope this was really helpful for you, or maybe inspires you to do a little decluttering yourself. If you guys have some tips that you recommend, or like other like books or advice for decluttering, or even like YouTube videos or channels that you like in terms of like minimalism or decluttering and organizing, let me know in the comments down below. If you found this helpful, please hit thumbs up, because it always like helps me so much in the algorithm. I love you guys so much. Feel free to subscribe if you want to see more of my videos, and I will see you in the next one. I love you. Bye.